Welcome to Give Me Some Word with David Worth Hinton, an extension of Outreach for America, a ministry created to bring hope and healing to the world. Now,
give me some word. Give me some word. Give me the word of God to see me through.
Howdy and welcome to the program. Give me some word. We're talking today, I'm David Hinton, by the way. We're talking today and I'm going to share, I've got a special guest on the program you're going to enjoy so much. But I've been looking so forward to telling about our movie that we've released called How the West Was Won. The information's going to be on the screen throughout the show, how you can get one of these DVDs. And anyway, I had a situation where I'd watched a movie and they showed God's people and made them look like fools, frauds, flakes, and freaks. It seems like the world's always getting it wrong, telling our story. So we've got to tell our own story. But as I watched that, it upset me. And I heard the Holy Spirit say, what are you going to do about it? And my first thought is, what can I do? You know, and that's the way we feel. It seems like the world has the industry of movies and then politics and everything. What can we do to change the situation or make it better? And I thought, well, I can write a song. So I wrote a song and I called it How the West Was Won. It's about a trailblazer preacher that left Tennessee and went west and preached. He's outcast by his dad and lots of things happened that his dad did. And there were true stories about my dad, a lot of them. And then I just rolled it back into the 1800s. I wrote it, directed it, produced it, acted in it. I did every part in it, even the horses. And actually, no, I had a lot of help. I had hundreds of people show up to help make this movie, wagons and buggies and teams and horses and mules. And I can't begin to tell you the show of support that we had to make this awesome movie, this story of grace and faith, salvation and soul winning. And I have with me here today Mr. Mike McLean to help tell the story about how the West was won. Mike McLean. Mike, it's good to have you on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
Long ways from Persimmon Springs.
Yes.
We're gonna just start off and show you a little clip in the movie. I'll set it up just a little bit, and then I'm going to talk to Mike about his favorite part of the film and how it came together. But I just want to show us a scene with you and Henry Walker, which was played by Taylor Vaden. Mm-hmm. And Mikey, we just couldn't come up with a better name than Mikey McLean, so he's a minor in the movie. But we want to go to this clip where Henry first rides into Mikey McLean's camp and finds a meal on the fire and no one in the camp. But then Mikey shows up, and this is how that goes.
Whoa. Hey, anybody here? Anybody here? What do you think, Tobe? Hey, anybody here? Hey, anybody here?
I got you, low-down varmint.
Whoa.
Don't you move nary a whisker, or I'm gonna be having a lot more meat in that stew. Not a whisker! Who are you and who sent you? Go on now, talk!
I will if you get that scatter gun out of my belly.
I said, who are you and who sent you?
My name's Henry Walker. The only one that sent me is God. I'm a preacher headed west.
Headed west? Boy, you are west. You don't look like no preacher to me. Quote me some scripture from the good book, boy. You better not be misquoting, 'cause I know me some Bible myself. Go on, get the quote.
Some of my favorites are Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. And John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life.
Well, lots of folks know them.
Another is Romans 10:13. For whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Well, I guess you're who you say you are, but I don't know why. Religion's a waste of time, and I got no use for it. Say, that's a fine mule you got there.
Thank you.
Give us that little piece. You got your shotgun there. That's not the exact one that we had in the movie, but it's a nice one. And who are you and who sent you?
Who are you and who sent you?
Okay.
How's that?
I like it. Fine, man. You're just a natural. Everybody that sees the movie goes on and on and on. Where did you do all your training and acting school and all of that, Mikey?
Well, just growing up.
Well, tell us about it. You just had something awesome and really special going between you and Taylor. Of course, he's just a great young man and jumped in with all of his heart, just gave all he had as you did and everybody else in the project. But just tell me a little bit about your experience with Taylor and in the beginning, how hard or whatever the difficulties were doing this movie.
Well, Taylor was so perfect for that role and for that part because he has such a gentle spirit about him, and he's just absolutely perfect to play a young preacher just starting out that had no formal training whatsoever except just the love of God in his heart and wanting to share it with other people and the gospel of what God had done for him. And as far as the difficulty in it was, he never, ever forgot his lines. And I hardly ever remembered mine. but you know, with God's grace and your patience, we made it through. And so that was the greatest experience that I'd ever seen with somebody that fit the roles that they played.
Character, yeah.
Because you tailored every role according to every person. It seemed to me like that every person that was in that was handpicked, especially for that role.
Right.
I mean,
well, I believe they were. I believe God handpicked everybody in the movie. You know, as I prayed and as I wrote the parts, God would show me a person or a character for that part. I didn't know who would be Henry Walker until I was in England, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, Taylor tells this story. The door to my room was open. Him and some of the other young men with me were down the hall, and I saw him walk by. I said, "Taylor, come here," and I'd already been praying. And I said, "I want to talk to you about being." Matter of fact, we'll just play this interview right now, these interviews with some of the actors, and you can hear what they have to say about it. And we'll be right back with Mikey McLean.
I became involved back in May when David asked me to be a part. We were together in England, and one night about 2 o'clock in the morning, he pulled me in his room and said, "I'm going to start shooting a movie." And
he was telling me about this incredible vision that he had for this movie, and he told me that he wanted me to be in the movie.
And we know that David is a soul winner. And
he said it would win souls.
And I said, "Amen."
And I just get excited in my spirit. I just get excited for what God is doing and what he wants to do through this movie. And there wasn't any way I couldn't help but come and be a part of it.
And then something hit me, and it hit me right in the heart, and I saw something that was really, really special here. And he asked me if I'd be this character in the movie, and I said, well, I'll give it all I got. I think the story as it goes really portrays real life and how people really came through the West and what really happened there. I think that the title "How the West is Won" is great, but it's how it's how the West was really won.
I knew I'd met some true Christians throughout my whole life, and people with grit, and people that wouldn't back up at anything. And so I wrote the song "How the West Was Won," and then things about my dad, and he preached for 69 years, an old trailblazer preacher. And it started rolling together. As I wrote the song, I wrote it in just maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And I saw this whole ideal of a movie, and I thought, wouldn't that be wonderful if somebody someday would make a movie out of this song.
The whole walk that Henry Walker has, and each walk is different. Forrest Parker has his own walk, and Mikey McLean has his own walk, and how they all bond together and make relationships that'll last forever is the cool part about it, and what God does through those relationships throughout the movie.
One person can really affect an entire town, whether it be a small town or whether it be a large town. I believe it would be an inspirational story to just give people hope that doing their part can change people's lives.
I love those interviews, and you can't resist on and off camera goofing off a little bit. There's a lot of fun. What was your favorite part about doing the movie, the acting and all that?
Well, when Henry first come up and I confronted him with my gun, and I guess the next part would be where Randy Parker and Bobby Sutton come up on me while I was panning, and they confronted me, and I kind of confronted back a little bit.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of attitude coming from an old miner.
Yeah.
You're not guilty of that or something. You acted that part really well. We talked about remembering lines was sometimes a struggle and different things, but you pulled attitude off real good when you were dealing with these two young men, full of energy and cocky and a little bit on the edge of just smart Alex, especially Randy, and angry, lots of problems inside. Again, this whole movie is just full of grace and faith, salvation, and soul winning, and that's one of my favorite things overall about the movie. But some of my favorite scenes, one of them is Mikey McLean in the creek. And I asked everybody that I could, we interviewed everybody that we could that was part of the movie about their favorite character, and your name came up several times. I didn't want to tell you that. I mean, you already have a big head.
Yeah. I'm wearing your hat.
But it wasn't always. What was interesting is some people actually said Forrest Parker, which was the bad guy in the movie.
Yeah.
Wealthy and really full of himself, thinks he's got a handle on everything because of his money.
Yeah.
But I had some say because they love to see the transformation. And if you watch hard, you can see that there's probably things in his background that hurts. But God deals with every issue in life. You know what? There's not anybody on the face of this earth that God is not interested in.
Boy,
and I believe this movie brings it out. The interview you saw there with our friend over in Sebulba, Pastor Ronnie Hardage.
Yeah. Right.
He'll get me for forgetting his name. But he said, I believe this is just a film that would just touch anybody that would watch it. And it does require watching. It's not full of special effects. I mean, look at me and Mike. What do you need special effects for? You got this. And but it was special enough. Just the presence of God showed up. Know the miracles that took place making this movie. Let me share one, because this is one of my favorite stories. I came in from England just a couple of weeks before we were going to start shooting. Now, the first day we shot, it was 118 degrees in the shade. I mean, it was burning hot, all of us. And I'm going to tell something very special about Mikey McLean here in a minute. Everything about Mikey's special.
That's, I guess, what
But I came in from England, and I slept for about 3 hours. And I jumped in my truck and ran to Broken Arrow to check my mail and take care of business. And I saw a yard sale. Well, I used to when I was younger. I'd stop at yard sales and stuff, and always looking for a treasure. But I'm years past that. I'm really not looking for anything, but I was trying to collect, all the antiques and old stuff like this lantern that was part of the props and things that we had. And so I stopped at this yard sale, and I was thinking to myself, what a waste of time. What am I doing here? I've got too much to do, but I needed a whiskey still. Preachers, if you want to touch the heart of your partners, send a letter out and tell them the saloon's almost finished and you've just purchased a really nice whiskey still. I mean, let them know what you're doing with their finances. But, which is another thing, God just provided daily, didn't he, Mike?
Yep.
Everything that was needed. Well, this guy came over at the garage sale and he said, can I help you? And I said, well, maybe. Now, me and my son had surfed on eBay and we found a whiskey still for $3,800, just what I wanted. But I want to tell you, you've heard of a low-budget movie? This was a no-budget movie. I mean, we were raking change, collecting the parts and things we needed, and cameras and just all the equipment, everything that was needed to do it with. But we went into it with absolute faith that we knew I knew I had a word from God that I was to do this, and I couldn't imagine it. But see, if I'd known anything, I probably wouldn't have done it. If I'd known what all it was going to take, but we just jumped in with raw faith, and I'll tell you, it's been around the world. It's played in many other nations and in theaters in different areas in the United States and auditoriums and church. It's just been a blast showing this, and in jails. You've been showing it in jail.
I've been showing it down.
And we've been showing it in prisons. It's playing. You know what? You've heard it'll be showing in a theater in your area. Well, our movie's showing in a prison in your area, so watch for it. And so anyway, me and my son decided when we found this $3,800 whiskey still, we decided we'll just build something. We don't have money to put toward that. And so we can weld a little and fabricate, and Mike certainly can. I figured we could come up with a whiskey still. Well, I didn't have time. I was 2 weeks from shooting, and one of the first scenes was the whiskey still scene. And this guy said, can I help you at this garage sale? I said, well, maybe. I said, I'm looking for some old tanks and things. I said, I need to build a movie prop. And he said, what are you building? I said, a whiskey still. And he looked at me so funny. He said, well, I don't have any tanks or anything. He said, but I've got a whiskey still. And he said, I wouldn't sell it for any amount of money, but I want to show it to you. And so he takes me back in his treasure room in the back of his shop. We all have those.
Yeah.
And this whiskey still was awesome, man. It was the most perfect copper. You saw it. Whiskey still, old timey. And I mean, you could have used this. We thought about using it for a fundraiser, to be honest. Sell a little moonshine, but, you know, with a little conviction kept us from that. And I stand there, and he must have said a dozen times, I would not sell this whiskey still for any amount of money. And I walked back out of there and I thought, now, God, you didn't bring me in from England 2 weeks before this shooting, and, you know, and to dangle and have me stop here. I never stop at these, but I felt like I was supposed to stop. You would not do that. What's going on here? And the guy, I saw him pacing a little bit in front of his garage. He walked over in a few minutes. He said, listen, he said, if you want that whiskey still, he said, I'll sell it to you for $500. And I said, I think I'll just take it. Now, what I'd done in England and what I do most of the year is outreach in the prisons, in the public schools, reservations, rodeos, and you name it. You're with me a lot, Mike. You know what we do. Nursing homes, front yard pickings, backyard barbecues, and if you'll feed us, we'll come. And if we can share the gospel, we'll show up. And so anyway, I told the guy, I'll take it. And I loaded this great big, and I had in every account and in my pocket, I had about $1,250 to my name. So I certainly couldn't afford a $500 whiskey still. But I bought it, and he had about a 6-foot safe, and he wanted $500 for that. And I thought, I'm not buying that. And it was made before the turn of the century, and it was in the right era that I could use it. But I just thought, I can't do that. And I started to leave, and I felt like I was making a horrible mistake. And so I turned around, and I told him, I said, I'll take the safe too. And I loaded the safe up and drove away, and, you know, it put a bite in what little bit I had. Didn't have enough to do anything with hardly anyway. But you know what? I got home. I got a safe cracker to come and open that safe. When we opened it, old antique rifles and swords and knives, a knife collection, just fell out of that. As soon as the door opened, that one great big old-timey rifle fell out, and some shotguns. And then there was another safe, and it had a coin collection from starting back in the 1800s all the way through to the 70s. Just a beautiful coin collection. And of course, everything, one item in it was worth way more. We had an old German sword that was in there appraised, and it appraised in the condition it was in for over $700. You know, so just a couple of items covered the whole cost of both of those things. And you know, right then, there's a line that I think Mikey McLean says in the movie, you can tell me, but I believe Henry shared with you that God knows where all the hidden treasure of the earth is, all the hidden gold and treasures. And he shared that, and then you shared it back with him later. He said, you're the one that told me that God knows where all the hidden treasure is in the world. And so, you know what? God made a way. He provided for this movie. We want you to see it. We want you to enjoy it. And we're going to show more clips just every little bit. But Steve's going to tell you right now, my good friend Steve McElroy was on the street the night, in the week especially, maybe not the first night, but I know he was on the streets that week. That's when I met him in Nashville, Tennessee, when I gave my heart to Jesus. And Steve McElroy is going to tell you about this movie and how to get it and how to order it and how to partner with us and be a part of this great outreach ministry called Outreach for America.
Some stories tell how the West was won by brave, fearless lawmen, others by treaties and governments. From Hollywood Productions comes a story unlike any other.
Shut up and get to work. I'll deal with Henry Walker in the morning. I'll give him some religion. He ain't likely to ever forget.
While others trusted luck or played it safe, Henry Walker left home, beginning the greatest adventure of his life. He set out on a journey that would require much courage to complete, a journey of faith in a place where sin did abound.
Let's play. If I can't run that preacher off, I'll buy him off.
Grace did much more abound.
You've got a decision to make today. Live or die.
The wages of sin is death.
I said, my name is Cedric.
But the gift of God is eternal life. The West was won, not by might.
I am the richest, most powerful man in town.
Not by power.
You're nothing.
But by faith.
I'm the richest man in town because of my faith in Jesus Christ.
David's heartbeating commission is to reach the United States of America and the nations. We can only do that with the help of our partners. If this program has touched your heart, please consider becoming a partner with Outreach for America. For your monthly support, David would like to offer you his movie entitled How the West Was Won. So join with us today by calling 1-800-683-4679.
Man, Mikey, this movie's already just made some distance. You know, I know the first night we showed it was in Sioux Falls, Sioux City, Iowa.
Right.
And I was at the theater. I got to be there, and a lot of things about that night I won't even get into. But young people and old people and everything in between loved this movie that night. I mean, it was amazing. And it was so encouraging to me. But there was a grandma that had told her granddaughter was 17 years old. Now, I got the call 2 days later and was told this story. The grandmother had told her family, I don't want you talking to me about God. I don't want you talking to me about Jesus. I'm happy and I just want to live out my life and die. And, you know, she's just basically going to roll the dice or whatever. It sounds kind of like roulette or something to me, Russian roulette. But she told her family, said, don't talk to me about God. I don't want to know anything about it. And her granddaughter asked her to go to the movie, and she brought her to see How the West Was Won. And I didn't know them. It was a small theater, a small crowd, about a little over 100 people. And she, on the way home, the granddaughter said, Grandma, what do you think? And she started crying, and she said, I want to ask Jesus in my heart. I want God in my life. And she got saved. And you know what? If nothing else ever happened or ever happens with this movie, that was payday for me. Somebody got saved. But I know it's encouraged lives, it's encouraged hearts, and And Mike, I just thank you for being here today and have you on a couple of more times, as I know you've got a busy schedule and people to see and sign autographs and all that. But I look forward to having you back, and I'll just let you end this little session right now, and however you want to.
Well, ever since I knew Christ, and that was in probably 1957 or 58. Since then, being a part of this ministry has probably been in the top 3 things that's happened to me. And I just want you to know that. And you've really, really, really been a blessing to me, letting me travel with you and be a part of this ministry. I appreciate it so much, Dave.
We go together like peas and carrots, I tell you.
He introduces me as his twin brother.
That's right. He had to grow a longer beard so Mama could tell us apart.
That's it.
Well, God bless you, and Steve will have more to say to you and how you can get this product and the information that's on the screen there. Write us, be a part of this ministry and what we're doing to touch the world around us. And I know that your seed will be in good ground. It's good seed, and God will bless you. Fourth Street and Broadway, standing in her doorway, ready for another night of blues, thinking there's no way I'm ever gonna find my way back home, Lord. It looked like I was born to lose, but on 4th Street and Broadway, I met you. I never will forget the day, Lord, you washed all my sins away. I was working in a demon's den, singing lonely songs to lonely men, with no hope for myself and none for them. I was bound in chains of sin. Then you sent a light to me. It pierced the darkness so that I could see all the love you'd given me when you shed your blood at Calvary. You opened up the gates of hell for me. You came to set the captives free. 4th Street and Broadway, standing in her doorway, ready for another night